Hello, and welcome to the 32nd live stream reading from the King James Bible. And we've been going through the book of Genesis. We're a little over halfway through. We'll be going into chapter 31 today. I think maybe tomorrow, rather than doing another chapter, might do a little review. The book of Genesis is just full of all kinds of interesting treats, and I think there's a lot of debate about the contents of Genesis, and I'd like to just sort of hit what I consider to be the highlights and some of the things that caught me by surprise. But today we're going on to chapter 31, so let's go to the website. Okay, so we're looking at the King James Bible Online.org, and we're in Genesis chapter 31. And starting in verse 1, it identifies who the main people are. And he heard the words of Laban's sons, saying, Jacob hath taken away all that was our father's, and of that which was our father's hath he gotten all his glory. And Jacob beheld the countenance of Laban, and behold, it was not towards him as before. And the Lord said unto Jacob, Return unto the land of thy fathers, and to thy kindred, and I will be with thee. And Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field unto his flock. And he said unto them, I see your father's countenance, that it is not towards me as before, but the Lord of my father has been with me. And he know that with all my power I have served your father. And your father has deceived me and changed my wages 10 times, but the Lord suffered him not to hurt me. If he said this thus, they speckled shall be thy wages, then all the cattle bear speckled. And if he said thus, the ring shanked shall be thy hire, then bear all the cattle are ring shanked. Thus God has taken away the cattle of your father and given them to me. And it came to pass at the time that the cattle conceived, that I lifted up my eyes and saw in a dream, and behold, the rams which leaped upon the cattle were ring-shanked, speckled, and gristled. And the angel of the Lord spake unto me in a dream, saying, Jacob. And I said, Here I am. And he said, Lift up now thy eyes, and see all the rams which leap upon the cattle are ring-shanked, speckled, and gristled. For I have seen all that Laban doeth unto thee. And I am the Lord of Bethlehem, where thou anointest the pillar, and where thou vowest a vow unto me. Now arise, get thee out from this land, and return unto the land of thy kindred. And Rachel and Leah answered and said unto him, Is there yet another portion or inheritance for us in our father's house? Are we not counted of him strangers? For he has sold us, and has quite devoured also our money. And for the riches which God has given from our Father, that is ours, and our children's, now then whatsoever the Lord has said unto thee, do. And Jacob rose up and set his sons and his wives upon camels, And he carried away all his cattle and all his goods which he had gotten, the cattle of his getting, which he had gotten in Padanaram, for to go to Isaac his father in the land of Canaan. And Laban went to shear his sheep, and Rachel had stolen the images that were his father's. And Jacob stole away unawares to Laban the Syrian, in that he told him not that he fled. And he fled with all that he had, and he rose up and passed over the river and set his face towards the Mount Gilead. And it was told Laban on the third day that Jacob was fled. And he took his brethren with him and pursued after him 7 days' journey, and they overtook him in the Mount Gilead. And the Lord came to Laban the Syrian in a dream by night, and said unto him, Take heed that thou speak not to Jacob either good or bad. And Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the mount, and Laban with his brethren pitched in the Mount of Gilead. And Laban said to Jacob, What hast thou done, that thou hast stolen away unawares to me, and carried away my daughters as captives taken with the sword? Wherefore didst thou flee away secretly and steal away from me, and did not tell me, that I might have sent thee away with mirth, and with song, and with tirette, and with harp? And haste not suffer me to kiss my sons and my daughters. Thou hast now done foolishly in so doing. It is in the power of my hand to do you hurt, but the Lord of my father spake unto me yesterday night, saying, Take thy heed that thou speak not to Jacob either good or bad. And now, though thou wouldest needs be done, because thou sore longest day after thy father's house, yet wherefore hast thou stolen my gods? And Jacob answered, saying to Laban, Because I was afraid, for I said, Peradventure, thou wouldst take by force my daughters from me. And whomsoever thou findest thy gods, let him not live. Before our brethren discern thou what is thine with me, and take it to thee. And Jacob knew that Rachel had stolen them. And Laban went to Jacob's tent, and into Leah's tent, and into the two maidservants' tents, but he found them not. Then he went out of Leah's tent and entered into Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the images and put them in the camel's furniture and sat upon them. And Laban searched all the tent, but found them not. She said to her father, Let it not displease my lord, that I cannot raise up before thee, for the custom of women is upon me. And he searched, but found not the images. And Jacob was wroth, and coded with Laban. And Jacob answered and said to Laban, What is my trespass? What is my sin? What thou hast so hotly pursued after me? Whereas thou hast searched all my stuff, what has I found of all my household stuff? Set it here before thy brethren, and thy brethren, that they may judge. betwixt us both. This 20 years have I been with thee. Thy ewes and thy she-goats have not cast their young, and the rams of the flock have not yet eaten. That which is torn of beast I brought not unto thee. I bear the loss of it. Of my hand didst thou require it, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. Thus I was in the day that the drought consumed me, and the frost by night, and my sheep departed from thine eyes. Thus have I been 20 years in thy house. I served thee 14 years for thy 2 daughters, and 6 years for thy cattle, and thou hast charged my wages 10 times. Except the Lord of my father, the Lord of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had been with me, surely thou hast sent me away not empty. The Lord has seen my affliction and the labor of my hands, and have rebuked thee yesterday night. And Laban answered and said unto Jacob, These daughters are my daughters, and these children are my children, and these cattle are my cattle, and all that thou seest is mine. And what can I do this day unto thee, my daughters, or unto my children, which they have borne? Now therefore come thou, let us make a covenant, I and thou, and let it be for a witness between me and thee. And Jacob took a stone and set it up for a pillar. And Jacob said unto his brethren, Gather stones, and take. And they took stones, and they made an heap. And they did eat whereupon the heap. And Laban called it Jerusahaddutha, after Jacob called it Galeed. And Laban said, The heap is a witness between me and thee this day. Therefore the name which I call Galeed, and Mizpah, for he said, The Lord watch between me and thee, when we are absent one from another. If thou shalt afflict my daughters, or if thou shalt take other wives besides my daughters, no man is with us. See, the Lord is witness betwixt me and thee. And Laban said to Jacob, Behold this heap, and behold this pillar, which I have cast betwixt me and thee. And the heap be witness, and this pillar be witness, that I will not pass over the heap to thee, and that thou shalt not pass over the heap, and that this pillar unto me for harm. And the Lord of Abraham and the Lord of Nahor, the Lord of thy father, judge betwixt us. And Jacob sware by the fear of his father Isaac. And Jacob offered sacrifice upon the mount, and called his brethren to eat bread. And they did eat bread, and tarried all night in the mount. And early in the morning Laban rose up, and kissed his sons and his daughters, and blessed them. And Laban departed, and returned to his place. Okie dokie. That was an interesting one. It's like 55 verses to basically describe Jacob trying to leave and return to his home. My assessment of that is a few things. Let's just take a peek here at the verses. Okay, so again, in verse 1, we see that it's Jacob. And there's an issue here that Jacob seems to have gotten more than he should have. And Laban's sons are saying that he's taken everything, he's even gotten all the glory for it. So Jacob became aware that Laban was, you can see in verse 2, that his countenance were different. He didn't look at him the same as before. So something had changed, and it looks as if Jacob had gotten more than his share. So in verse 3, Jacob decides to return to his land, and he gets Rachel and Leah, gets everyone together, all the children, and they leave. And so this is cool. There's a little section here in verse 8 that sort of explains a bit. I was confused in the other chapters what the speckled on the cattle were and the rings around the ring shanks on it. I guess it was a little bit of a wager where he could have any of the cattle that were speckled and any of the sheep, I guess, that had rings around the neck. As it turns out, Jacob got them all because they were all marked accordingly. So, in verse 10, it sort of repeats that. It came to pass at the time that the cattle conceived, and I lifted up my eyes and saw a dream, and behold, the rams that leaped upon the cattle were ring-shanked and speckled and gristled. So he got them all. So, okay, so we're going through verse 14. Rachel and Leah answered and said unto him, is there yet any portion or inheritance for us in our father's house? I guess they're saying, is there anything left? So in 17, Jacob decided to leave. He rose up, set his sons and his wives upon camels, and left. In 19, Laban went to look after his sheep, and there's this reference here that Rachel had stolen the images that were his father's. Now, I'm not sure what these images were, whether they were drawings, pictures, carvings, or what they were, but the images. And Jacob, he perceived that Jacob had basically stole away unaware. So Laban, on the third day that Jacob was fled. Okay, so here in 23, Laban takes his brother and they pursue after Jacob. Eventually, they do catch up with him, and there's a confrontation. And before that, Laban has had a dream from the Lord telling him not to say anything good or bad to Jacob. So in any event, they catch up. Let's see where we're at. In 31, Jacob said to Laban, because I was afraid of you, and I thought that you would take your daughters away from me, I left. So basically, they're still arguing here. And then in 33 and 34, Laban goes looking for these images, and he can't find the images. And Rachel had taken the images, this is in 34, and she's put them in the camel's furniture and sat on them. She wasn't going to let her father have the images, whatever those were. So this continues on, more intrigue. And then Jacob and Laban argue about the fact that, it's 24 years or whatever number, quite a few, almost 30 years, he was there looking after, working for him. So they finally come to an agreement. and they both sit on one across from each other, and because Jacob in 35 he'd taken some stones and made a pillar, and everyone gathered around these heap of stones, and they had food and they talked or whatever. So they must have made some kind of deal. And here I'm seeing in 50, if they shall afflict my daughters, or if you shall take other wives besides my daughters, no man is with us. See the Lord as witness. So I guess he's sort of telling him, take care of his daughters, don't do anything to them. Okay, so it is around the end of the chapter that Laban backs off and lets them go. And in 54, Jacob makes the sacrifice on that mount. So at the very last verse, 55, I guess everything's okay because Laban, he got up, kissed his sons and his daughters, and blessed them, and he departed. This was a very detailed accounting of Jacob leaving Laban. There could be some other meanings here. I'd like to find out what that image was. Whether it was a carving or an actual drawing. In any event, we'll either do chapter 32 tomorrow, or as I mentioned in the beginning, might do a review, just to sort of catch up to where we are. Although there's some very detail-y chapters that don't seem to have a lot of content, there are many chapters that do. Okay, we have a great Sunday, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow.